Welcome to Mysteries and Crime, where shadows stretch long into the night and unanswered questions linger like whispers in the dark. Tonight, we unravel the chilling mystery of the Zodiac Killer Cipher, a puzzle that has haunted minds for over 5 decades. Here's your clue-based question. Could a single overlooked detail have unmasked the Zodiac Killer? Between the late 1960s and early 1970s, Northern California was gripped by fear as the Zodiac Killer claimed at least 5 lives across Benicia, Vallejo, Lake Berryessa, and San Francisco. His cryptic letters, ciphers filled with ominous threats, and an identity cloaked in mystery, left an indelible mark on true crime history. It began on December 20th, 1968. Betty Lou Jensen, 16 years old, and David Faraday, 17, were enjoying a quiet evening near Lake Herman Road. Their young love met a violent end. Betty Lou shot 5 times as she fled, and David executed with a single bullet behind his ear. The peaceful town of Benicia would never be the same. 7 months later, July 4th, 1969, Vallejo echoed with gunshots once more. Darlene Farron, 22, and Mike Mageau, 19, were ambushed in their car. Darlene succumbed to her wounds, while Mike, though severely injured, survived to recount the horror. A chilling phone call to the police soon followed, the voice calmly taking credit for both attacks. Then came the letters, cryptic puzzles sent to the press, each promising to reveal the killer's identity. The first cipher, cracked by schoolteacher Donald Hardin and his wife Betty, offered a grim revelation. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." The Zodiac's taunts had begun, and Northern California braced for the terror to come. Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were typical teenagers living in the quiet town of Benicia, California. Betty Lou, just 16 years old, was admired by her peers for her creativity and keen eye for design. She often spent hours sketching, dreaming of one day transforming spaces with her artistic vision. Known for her warm personality and radiant smile, Betty Lou brought joy to her family and friends. David Faraday, 17, was equally admired, an honor student with a passion for science and a promising future ahead of him. He was a member of the school's wrestling team, known for his dedication and strong work ethic. David had even received an appointment to a prestigious technical school, and the night he died was meant to be special, their first official date. But their young love story ended in unimaginable tragedy when they became the Zodiac's first confirmed victims, their hopes and dreams extinguished in an instant. Darlene Farron, a vibrant 22-year-old, was known for her lively spirit and kind heart. Working as a waitress at a local diner in Vallejo, she formed deep connections with her regular customers, who were drawn to her infectious laughter and genuine warmth. Beyond her job, Darlene was a young mother, devoted to her infant daughter, nurturing her with boundless love despite the challenges of young parenthood. Her life, filled with potential and kindness, was stolen when she was brutally shot on July 4th, 1969. Mike Mageau, 19, survived the horrific attack, but was left with deep psychological scars that haunted him for years. His life, once carefree and filled with youthful optimism, was forever altered as he became one of the few to witness the Zodiac's ruthlessness and live to tell the tale. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, both college students at Pacific Union College, embodied youthful enthusiasm and a thirst for knowledge. Brian, a law student, envisioned a future advocating for justice and protecting the innocent. Cecilia, with her cheerful demeanor and compassionate nature, was pursuing a career in social work, aiming to help those in need. Their day at Lake Berryessa on September 27, 1969, was meant to be a peaceful escape, a picnic by the serene waters. But the tranquility was shattered when a hooded figure approached them, changing their lives forever. Brian endured multiple stab wounds, a testament to his will to survive, while Cecilia, despite her desperate fight for life, succumbed to her injuries 2 days later. Their story is a poignant reminder of how fleeting life can be and how dreams can be cruelly snatched away in an instant. Paul Stein, a 29-year-old taxi driver, was working tirelessly to make ends meet in San Francisco's bustling streets. Known for his reliability and friendly demeanor, Paul was a familiar face to many. He had dreams beyond the driver's seat, hoping to build a better future for himself and his family. On October 11th, 1969, his life was abruptly cut short when the Zodiac Killer callously shot him in the head during what appeared to be a routine fare. Paul's murder marked a chilling departure from the Zodiac's previous crimes, bringing terror to the heart of San Francisco and sending shockwaves through the city's taxi driving community. His death left an irreplaceable void in the lives of those who knew him, a stark reminder that even the most ordinary of nights can turn into a nightmare. Each of these victims had stories to tell, lives to live, and dreams to fulfill. Their tragic deaths remind us that behind every crime are real people whose legacies deserve to be remembered, not just as victims of a notorious killer, but as individuals who brought light and love into the world they left behind. The Zodiac case brought forth a long list of suspects, each one scrutinized under the harsh light of suspicion. Arthur Lee Allen remains the most infamous. A former elementary school teacher with a disturbing history, Allen was first interviewed by police in 1971. He owned a Zodiac watch, adorned with the infamous crosshair symbol, had a fascination with cryptography, and lived near the scenes of the crimes. Yet, no concrete evidence ever tied him to the murders. Rick Marshall, a projectionist with a deep interest in codes and ciphers, was also considered. His eccentric nature and cryptic communications drew the attention of investigators, but nothing definitive emerged. Lawrence Kane, a Navy veteran, was placed under the microscope due to his intelligence background and alleged resemblance to the Zodiac sketch. His connection to one of the victims, Darlene Ferrin, fueled further suspicion. Even Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was briefly examined. His expertise in cryptography and reclusive lifestyle made him a compelling suspect, but his timeline and methods did not align. Each suspect brought hope that the Zodiac's mask would finally be removed, yet each time the trail grew colder. The killer's identity remains a cipher unto itself, an enigma that continues to haunt both law enforcement and the public alike. The Zodiac Killer's crimes were chilling in their precision, methodical in their execution, and haunting in their aftermath. Each attack painted a vivid portrait of fear, calculation, and cruelty. On December 20th, 1968, the quiet, desolate stretch of Lake Herman Road became the stage for the Zodiac's first confirmed murders. Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday parked for what should have been a peaceful evening. Instead, they faced unimaginable terror. A figure approached their car, flashlight in hand, and ordered them out. David was shot at point-blank range behind his ear. Betty Lou tried to flee, but 5 bullets ended her life before she reached safety. The killer vanished into the darkness, leaving behind bullet casings and shattered futures. 7 months later, July 4th, 1969, Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo became the site of the next attack. Darlene Farine and Mike Majot sat in their car, unaware of the nightmare approaching. Bright headlights flooded their vehicle before gunfire erupted. Darlene was shot 5 times, her life slipping away as Mike, though severely wounded, clung to survival. Minutes later, the killer called Vallejo police, his voice calm, calculated, claiming responsibility and describing the crime scene in chilling detail. Then came Lake Berryessa on September 27, 1969. A scene as horrifying as it was unique. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were enjoying an afternoon by the lake when a hooded figure, donning an executioner's mask emblazoned with the Zodiac symbol, approached with a gun. He tied them up, and without warning, began stabbing them repeatedly. Brian survived, but Cecilia succumbed to her injuries 2 days later. The killer's message, scrawled on their car door, included the dates of his previous murders and a chilling symbol, a signature of death. October 11th, 1969, marked the Zodiac's final confirmed murder. Paul Stein, a hard-working taxi driver, picked up a passenger who requested a ride to Washington and Cherry Streets in San Francisco. Upon arrival, Paul was shot point-blank in the head. The killer's audacity knew no bounds. He tore a piece of Paul's blood-stained shirt and later mailed it to the San Francisco Chronicle as proof of his deed. Witnesses described him as a stocky man with short hair and glasses. But even with this detailed sketch, the Zodiac slipped away once more. Each crime scene bore his signature brutality, and each letter he sent to the media added another layer to his twisted game. His ciphers were more than puzzles. They were taunts, challenges, and declarations of his sadistic pleasure. One letter, decoded by Donald and Betty Hardin, revealed a sinister confession. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." The Zodiac's reign of terror was not just about taking lives. It was about instilling fear and proving his intellectual superiority over law enforcement. Yet, for all his boldness, his identity remained shrouded in mystery, a cipher that time has yet to decode. Law enforcement faced an elusive enemy, a ghost who mocked their every effort. The Zodiac's letters, sent to newspapers like the San Francisco Chronicle, Vallejo Times-Herald, and San Francisco Examiner, forced detectives into the unfamiliar territory of cryptanalysis. Officers combed through hundreds of tips, conducted extensive interviews, and set up surveillance at lovers' lanes. But the killer always seemed one step ahead. The FBI joined local police in the manhunt. Handwriting analysts scrutinized every letter, while ballistics experts examined bullet casings from each crime scene. Yet, despite their exhaustive efforts, the Zodiac's identity remained just out of reach. False leads, hoax letters, and a flood of suspects complicated the investigation further. Each cipher cracked brought more questions than answers, and every unsolved puzzle served as a chilling reminder of their failure to unmask him. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, forensic science was in its infancy, a reality that hindered the Zodiac investigation at every turn. Crime scenes were often contaminated by curious onlookers and eager reporters, critical evidence lost before it could be collected. The partial fingerprints recovered from Paul Stein's taxi, though promising, failed to yield any matches. Forensic limitations of the era meant that fibers, handwriting, and ballistic evidence were the primary tools, but none provided the breakthrough investigators desperately needed. Decades later, advancements in DNA technology offered renewed hope. Evidence was re-examined, yet the degradation of time and limited samples thwarted these efforts. The Zodiac's cunning use of disguises and gloves ensured his forensic invisibility. Even now, modern forensic methods struggle against the passage of time, leaving behind the unsettling question: did the evidence that could have unmasked him slip through our fingers, forever lost? The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror cast a long shadow over Northern California, a region gripped by fear and suspicion. Couples abandoned their favorite secluded spots. Families bolted their doors each night, and whispers of the killer's presence echoed through every neighborhood. Gun sales surged as paranoia spread. No one felt safe. Was the person next to you in line at the store the Zodiac? Could the man crossing the street be the one who sent shivers down the spine of an entire state? Every stranger became a suspect, every phone call a potential threat. Fear was no longer fleeting, it was a constant companion. The media became both an ally and an amplifier of the Zodiac's terror. Newspapers, desperate for readership, published his letters, each one a chilling reminder of his hold on the region. Headlines screamed updates, theories, and warnings. Television reports speculated on suspects, and radio broadcasts carried his threats into every home. The Zodiac craved the spotlight, and the media, knowingly or not, provided it. Each letter he sent, each cipher he dared them to solve, kept him at the forefront of public consciousness. The press fed the fear, and in doing so, fed the killer's ego. His legend grew, even as his identity remained unknown. The Zodiac case sparked endless theories, each suspect examined under a microscope, yet none conclusively linked to the crimes. Arthur Lee Allen, with his Zodiac-branded watch and disturbing past, remains the most discussed. His proximity to the crime scenes, possession of weapons matching the murder sites, and cryptic comments to acquaintances painted him as a prime suspect. Yet, fingerprint comparisons and handwriting analyses failed to implicate him definitively. Other theories range from the plausible to the bizarre. Was the Zodiac a disgruntled military veteran, skilled in cryptography and survival tactics? Or perhaps a local loner with an insatiable thirst for attention? Some even speculated that multiple individuals were involved, creating a phantom that law enforcement could never corner. Each theory, each suspect, adds to the labyrinth of this case. But the truth remains hidden, a whisper lost in the winds of time. No trial, no verdict, no justice. Despite the exhaustive efforts of law enforcement, the Zodiac Killer was never apprehended. Numerous suspects were interrogated, but none were charged. The case grew colder with each passing year. Legal challenges, including the lack of physical evidence and the limitations of forensic technology at the time, hindered any hope of prosecution. Decades later, cold case detectives and amateur sleuths revisited the evidence, but the legal system demands proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Without a confirmed suspect, a trial remains a distant dream. The Zodiac's taunts, "I will never be caught," still echo in the annals of unsolved crimes. Time may have shielded him from justice, but his name remains etched in history. The trial that never was, the verdict never reached, leaves us with one haunting question. Did the Zodiac slip through the cracks forever? Or is the final chapter yet to be written? Decades have passed, yet the Zodiac Killer's identity remains an enigma. Were vital clues overlooked? Did the killer blend into everyday life, unnoticed and unbothered? The unsolved ciphers, the chilling letters, and the trail of fear he left behind continue to baffle even the most seasoned investigators. Modern technology offers new hope, but questions remain unanswered. Was the Zodiac someone we least expected? Did he walk among us, unnoticed, long after his reign of terror ended? The unknown looms large, reminding us that some mysteries refuse to be unraveled, no matter how hard we try. The Zodiac Killer's impact transcends the crimes themselves. Northern California, once known for its serene landscapes, became synonymous with fear. Law enforcement procedures evolved, forensic science advanced, and the hunt for serial killers changed forever. The Zodiac's cryptic legacy influenced films, books, and documentaries, embedding itself into pop culture. Yet, beyond the headlines and theories, his victims' families still seek closure. The case remains open, a haunting reminder that justice delayed may very well be justice denied. The Zodiac Killer may be gone, but his shadow lingers, shaping how we perceive safety, mystery, and the darkness within humanity. As we close this chapter on the Zodiac Killer cipher, one question remains. Could a single overlooked detail have unmasked the Zodiac Killer? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Could a different twist have changed everything? Subscribe for more unsolved cases. And remember, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.